Hello there, White Sox fans. This video is getting back to our rewriting history, making up for the sins of the Sox front office in the 2010s. We just finished the 2012 season. We are heading into the offseason between 2012 2013, where, yes, the White Sox are reigning champions. And I was just thinking how fun it would be to I don't know, make a hat or a shirt that says White Sox Champions 2K League 2012. But yeah, we will, before diving into the game, let's see what the actual White Sox did in the offseason between 2012 and 2013. 2012 was actually not a bad season for the White Sox, but it led to a pretty bad one and several bad ones after then. Before getting into transactions, let's see who is electing free agency. Just here's some blast from the past names: Kevin Youkilis, Francisco Liriano, third baseman Orlando Hudson. Dwayne Wise was electing free agency after 2012, and a big name in there, AJ Pierzynski. And now I had to look it up because I didn't remember exactly, but AJ, yeah, 2012 was his final season with the White Sox. In the previous video, I already added him on to, I think it was a 2-year contract. But as we see here, AJ stayed productive. I know batting averages and everything, but 272, 251 split between two teams in 2014. Then he batted 300 in 2015. And then, yes, he absolutely dipped down as he rejoined Tyler Flowers as the catching tandem for the Atlanta Braves at the end of his career there. I mean, you could say that the White Sox moved on from him at the right time, as he had an on-base plus slugging over 800 in 2012 with the White Sox and never again passed 800. His high water mark was in the high 700s in 2015 Atlanta. But man, AJ had a monster year for us. He is one of those guys that we're calling a franchise player, much like Paul Konerko, much like Mark Burley, where as long as they're actively playing, we have to bring them back. So even as their skills are deteriorating, their ratings are going down. This is one of the things that we're doing to make the game a little bit more difficult for us. We should not have won the World Series in 2012. So we might add another player or two to this list. We'll figure it out. But anyway, yeah, AJ Pierzynski moved on from the White Sox, or the White Sox moved on from AJ after 2012. Let's see what else happened in this offseason. This was just in November. Okay, so wow, the front office must have known that 2013 was going to be a rough year. It's so strange. And I guess this is how Kenny Williams worked a lot, not committing to a lane, basically, because they still had some high-priced veterans and people like Jake Peavy, but they didn't add on to support him. So, we lose AJ. Honestly, we didn't lose too many big pieces, but we didn't bring anybody in. There was literally no major or maybe any free agent signings, just minor league signings. There was no trades in this offseason. And then we jump ahead. I'm looking here at July. So we're coming up to the trade deadline now, all these minor moves. Boom, first one, July 13th, White Sox trade Matt Thornton to the Red Sox. Got, nothing back, as we find out in hindsight. And then the big trade comes down. Actually, first, Jesse Crain, who was really great with the White Sox, but he unfortunately was very, very injured. He never actually ended up playing for the Tampa Bay Rays. He gets traded. Now, here's the big one, the big 3-team trade, which involved Jake Peavy getting sent from the White Sox to Boston. A couple of other dominoes were involved, and in the end, Avisail Garcia went from the Tigers to the White Sox by way of Boston. So this is how the White Sox picked up Avisail Garcia, and this is a question we are going to make. We're going to have to answer, because we actually are really thin in the outfield. We need an outfielder. But actually, before we look at our roster, there's one more trade that happened, and that was in August. You could do that back in this time period. It was the waiver deadline and the non-waiver deadline. People had to be passed through waivers, and then you could trade them if they had been successfully fully passed through waivers. And that is when Alex Rios was traded from Chicago to the Texas Rangers for who? Leury Garcia. So that's how he ends up joining the team. Yeah, the real life White Sox were rough in 2013. Let's take a look at our team as it stands currently. Okay, so as I mentioned, I thought I signed AJ Pierzynski for a 2-year contract at the end of last season, but when I look at the game, only 1 year is listed. And similarly, Paul Konerko didn't come up as a free agent on my team, but he's still listed as on the team, but without a contract right now. So we're going to find out together. Maybe it's just because I'm in that weird window where I'm kind of at the beginning of the offseason. Maybe the computer thinks that the offseason hasn't really started. The computer being the Xbox 360. But here's who we definitely know for sure. We've got Gordon Beckham, who had a terrible year. I think it'd be fun to develop him into an all-star player like we all wished he would be one day. He's under contract for 2 more years. And also, I think, MLB 2K12, I don't think it really had arbitration. You could offer arb. we'll see what happens here. But a lot of the younger players are just signed to what seems like pre-arbitration extensions, and Gordon Beckham would be one such one. 1.09 mil and then 1.8. Alexi had a monster year for us. We're going to see if we can make him last till he's 44 years old, just like in real life, making the roster for Team Cuba and playing in the WBC. Still, Aramis Ramirez, he got a big raise. I can't remember. He was probably around 8 million, and then maybe 9 million. He's getting a bump up to 12.8 for the next 2 years. He had an MVP caliber year last year. That said, I think he is the piece I want to move to. We are really in a budget crunch right now, and we've got multiple holes to fill. I guess we don't. We don't really have holes to fill, but we are a very thin team. All of the talent is at the upper level in the major leagues. If somebody goes down, we don't have a great bench. As we see, our utility right now, we have Marcus Semien and Yolmer Sanchez, who hit the walk-off hit to win the World Series last year. And when you don't see numbers for people like Marcus Semien and Yolmer, they're on league minimum salaries currently. And then we see Tyler Flowers, not somebody I at all care to keep around, except we need somebody as a backup, and AJ Pierzynski is going to be our guy for as long as humanly possible. So I don't really care who's in that position. Tyler Flowers was always a really good defensive catcher. Looking at the outfield, we've got Brent Lillibridge. Again, Brent Lillibridge should not be a starter. He should be our fourth outfielder. I'd love to see an upgrade there. Our fourth outfielder is Trace Thompson, playing on a very affordable contract. This is a place where I'd like to see an upgrade. I could see legitimate upgrade here in the outfield and in the rotation. We've got Alejandro De Aza. Again, I'm not exactly sure what his contract situation was. He was really good for the team. Again, the type of guy I love in center field, just a good defense, fast guy, a slap hitter, a little bit of pop. That's all I want out of center field, and I'm happy with that. And then we got, the deal of the century. We made a trade in the middle of last season to get Paul Goldschmidt, and he apparently is one of those people that signed an early career extension. So we have him for next year for just $900,000, and then 1.5, 2.5, and then $4 million. So we're going to be keeping him around. I'm going to start to fill in the rest of this, not during this video, but offline, because I need to remember when other iconic people that we want to have on the team joined our team, like Jose Abreu, for example. He's going to appear somewhere in the not too distant future. I got to make sure I keep a space for him and plan for that as we're building out the team. For the starting rotation, we've got Mark Burley for 2 more years. He's getting a big jump because he was only at $8 million last year, 14.5, and then $15 million. Definitely worth it. He won the Cy Young for us last year. Jake Peavy is in the same scenario as Paul Konerko, where I think we have him under contract for 1 more year, but we'll find out together. I mean, in real life, we know he was with the White Sox, and the White Sox traded him in the 2013 season. And then we have Chris Sale, who had a bad year, a very disappointing year last year. We'll take a look at what he did in real life, because he actually broke out in real life in 2012. That was Chris Sale's arrival party. He was a great player starting in 2012. We couldn't make that happen for him in 2012 in our version of the game. I guess that's some of the give and take. We had people like Brent Lillibridge overperforming, but Chris Sale, somebody that really underperformed, somebody that we're going to have to rely on. John Danks, he's a trade piece. Definitely a solid pitcher, but he's getting paid a lot, $11.4 million per year for the next 3 years. And then I did make note that waiting in the wings, we do have in the minor leagues, in the lower minor leagues, we have Chris Bassett down there. I would love to develop him, keep him on the team, unlike what happened in real life. And our number 5 spot, Gavin Floyd, is the person who will inherit that. But we do have Jose Quintana waiting in the wings as well. I think we might only have Gavin Floyd for 1 more year. We will check on that. Addison Reed, we've got him long-term, as you see, 4 more years, and he's making towards the minimum. So he's very affordable, and I think he did a fine job for us. And of course, here we see Chris Sale. Not only was he good in 2012, but he was an all-star in 2012. He went 17-8, 5.7 WAR, and a 3.05 ERA. Outstanding. That begins a run of a ton of all-star games all in a row. Actually finished 6th place in Cy Young voting. Next year, 5th place, then 3rd place. He puts up video game numbers in real life. Can we make our video game be able to match what Chris Sale actually did? That's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a fun challenge. The 2012 White Sox won 85 games, and the 2013 White Sox won just 63 games with 99 losses. At that point in my life, that was the most losses I've ever seen the White Sox accrue in a single season. And I was kind of curious who took over. We know Tyler Flowers took over for Pierzynski, but our backup catcher was Josh Fegley, who's actually in our farm system currently. Avisail Garcia did get called up. He appeared in 20 games. Marcus Semien was in 21 games. Adam Dunn was still with the team, and he actually did decent. A 105 on base plus slugging plus. We wanted him to be a star, but at least he was above average still at this point. Alex Rios also, it was 102. Everybody else underneath, especially Tyler Flowers at just a 62 on base plus slugging plus. But Deaza and Diane Viciedo, who we traded away already, they were actually close to league average. I did not think that they were that good. But yeah, a real life third baseman. It's funny. They were trying to figure out what to do at third base. The 2013 White Sox didn't know either. They had Connor Gillespie up. Depending on who I get back in an Aramis Ramirez trade, that might go to Yolmer Sanchez, Marcus Semien. I think we'll be able to replace that. I'm kind of looking at Ramirez and Danks being two big, not insanely expensive, but more pricey trade pieces. Maybe we can make one huge blockbuster deal and get a huge upgrade. Hopefully stay competitive at third base, but make a big upgrade to the roster. Not that John Danks was bad, but I just think long term we want a bigger name in the starting rotation. Paul Konerko, the one knock that he has against him, I think, when it comes to the Hall of Fame is that he was not always the most consistent player. In 2013 was one of his really bad down years, just an 82 on base plus slugging plus. For a guy who was a team leader, a captain, to only play 126 games, so he must have had some injury in there, but only 54 RBI. That is pretty rough production. Only 12 home runs out of your first baseman. That ain't going to cut it. I know I've shared some of this before, but I finished adding minor league players to a bunch of different teams. We see 126 new players added. I've added earlier than this too, but here are the newest players I've added. And you might wonder, where am I coming up with this list of players? I went through 2012, 2011, 2010, and maybe 2009, the draft for everybody. Each team, what players did those teams draft? And those players are now in their minor league system, but in the game, they weren't added yet. This is really actually a cool indication to see how different teams, how good they were at drafting players in the early 2010s. I'm not going to read every single name, but we see there the A's, Matt Olson, Sonny Gray. Sometimes you'll see a level of the minor leagues and sometimes not. The reason for that is that I realized that with this game, I'm able to set up the player, show what their potential is, and then also say what years, what ages they are when they are hitting their peak. So I figured it doesn't really matter where I put them in the minor leagues. The game will know when the player is good. And so they should progress them through the system at an appropriate pace. So I'm just going to scroll through here. The Astros, obviously, man, they were just monsters. Dallas Keuchel, Carlos Correa, Lance McCullers, George Springer. Yeah, they built a great team. So this does not yet include any international signees. That is something I'm going to have to figure out how to handle moving forward. Kind of forgot Noah Syndergaard on the Blue Jays. Totally didn't remember that he came up with the Jays. Diamondbacks, pretty solid, honestly. You have more players than normal, and also Patrick Corbin, who stuck around a long time as a solid pitcher. Adam Eaton, AJ Pollock, Jake Lamb, our buddy Evan Marshall, who ended up with the White Sox eventually. No huge stars there, but really solid players. Dodgers, yeah, they had Puig, Corey Seager. Not huge names, to be honest with you. Hyun-Jin Ryu was in there as well. Giants, none. They're not the only team that didn't have any in that time period. Cleveland had Corey Kluber. Again, man, not quantity, but quality. Cleveland had Corey Kluber, Jose Ramirez, and Francisco Lindor. And then Ketel Marte on the M's. Marlins, of course, had Jose Fernandez, RIP. Christian Yelich, JT Realmuto around this time. Mets, really great drafting here. We was Zach Wheeler and Jacob deGrom and future closer Edwin Diaz. They were great at drafting pitchers, but we see Brandon Nimmo is in there as well. Matt Harvey, man, just drafted here. And with the Nats, Lucas Giolito, Brian Goodwin. I even called out maybe a trade target for me because I'm looking for a decent outfielder. Maybe he's somebody that I develop within our own system. Josh Hader, Kevin Gausman on the O's. Manny Machado is in there as well. Pirates with Garrett Cole. What's going to happen? Garrett Cole, one of the best pitchers of our lifetimes, and that is not overstating it. The more you look at his stats, the more I get blown away by how good he was. Will the Pirates hold on to him in this world? Let's see. Brandon Woodruff coming up with the Rangers. That is something that I did not remember. Yasmani Grandal with the Reds. The Rockies with some big guys. Nolan Arenado, Trevor Story, Corey Dickerson. Royals with another Jose Fernandez type. Great pitcher who could not battle his own demons and is no longer with us. Eugenio Suarez, James McCann, Nick Castellanos, and Avi Garcia with the Tigers. Twins, of course, are about to show a new generation here with Miguel Sano, Byron Buxton, Jose Barrios coming up. And Yankees, they only had Tommy Kahnle. So those are all the people that were added to the game. Some of those people might be on our target right now. So let's jump into the game and start to actually get into this offseason. And we jump in. What do we have staring us right in the face? But Chris Sale's disappointing year. Again, he was an all-star in real life, but this year he put in a 5-11 record to the tune of a 4.17 ERA. Obviously, we're not giving up on him. The game thinks he's at 4-star out of 5-star potential right now, and he's on the rise. His rate stats are going up. And just to show you what I was talking about, something that is probably a glitch with the game. If we look at Jake Peavy's card, we head over to his contract, and it just shows his 2012 salary, which is the season that just played. Usually, well, as we see, there's Brandon McCarthy. We see that it goes into the future. Jake Peavy, nothing past 2012, but he should be under contract this year. Let's find out. We are going into the offseason. Oh, and when we take a look at team budget, you'll see that we have $10.5 million to play with. It is not a lot. It is not a lot at all. So I think moving some of these higher price guys, now is the time to do so. Take a look around the sport. Prince Fielder is a free agent. We have no place for him. Kind of keep an eye open for third baseman. Freddie Sanchez, I liked him a lot. For Andrew Jones, Edwin. Oh, Edwin's fun. But yeah, we just don't have room for him. I'd love to have him on the team. Jim Thome, of course, I'd love to have him on the team. He is, as you see, aging. He's 3 stars right now, and his trend is straight down. So towards the end of his career, but I always have a soft spot for Jim Thome. Grady Sizemore. What? Wait a minute. What would his demand be? Maybe I'm not even at the point where I can make offers. Let's get to that point. Okay, so we finally made it into actual free agency. I did some minor league coach firing and hiring a new trainer, which will hopefully help with our recovery time, because when we had guys go down, they stayed down injured for a long time. And of course, in doing making a ton of upgrades among our coaching staff, it ate up the rest of our salary, whatever we had free. So we need to make some trades here first. Maybe the move is just to unload somebody like Aramis Ramirez for high-end minor leaguers, not necessarily people that are at the big league level. I don't think we have a ton of wasted money on our team, unfortunately. I say unfortunately because it's easy to get rid of money. Just you dump a contract for nothing. But we don't really have a lot of dead weight. That money is spread around. Why can I not get to trades yet? I have to make offers, and I can't make offers after. This is weird. Let's just take a look at available pitchers too, just to see what's out there. Oh, look at that. Type A and Type B. I forgot about that. So these are people back in the day. If you were a Type A or B free agent, a team losing that player would get compensation in the form of more draft picks. Sometimes it was just, I think it was sandwich picks, but then also sometimes getting the pick of the team that signed that player. I kind of liked how that worked. That made sense. We don't do it that way anymore. Maybe this is going to come back. Anyway, Type A guys, Sean Markham, Edwin Jackson, still sporting a White Sox hat in that one. Eric Bedard, man, I can't imagine Edwin Jackson being a Type A. Javi Vasquez, there's a familiar name. Jonathan Broxton, Joe Blanton. All right, so not a lot really, honestly. Free agents, pitching, not a lot going on there. Hitters, who are the Type A's? Prince Fielder, Endy Chavez, David Ortiz, Lance Berkman. Type B guys, Andre Ethier, James Loney, a couple of Dodgers there. Torrey Hunter. Torrey Hunter's a free agent. Interesting. Freddie Sanchez, Andrew Jones, Edwin, Scott Rowland, Jeremy Hermida, Jim Thome, and then that's it. So, interestingly, the guy I want most, wait, is he even gone already? Grady Sizemore is still there. He's got no compensation attached to him. So, I am at a loss here. Why can I not make trades before making free agent offers? Because, I mean, technically, I don't have enough money to make any, reasonable offer. I hate this screen, that there's nothing between free agency and finalized rosters. I didn't need to sign any free agent players, but I kind of wanted to see, could I sign Grady Sizemore? Could I free up some money and then sign him? And I hate to say, like, okay, I'm ready to finalize my roster. No, I need to go into the offseason and make some trades. Let's see what happens. I guess all of free agency just happened. Let's see some headlines. Let's see where people went. Carl Pavano, not a big name, but a recognizable one, to the Royals in division there. Lastings Millage goes to Boston. Edwin, 3-year deal, just $1.67 million per year, over to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Cubs sign Kosuke Fukudome for a year. James Loney ends up with the Miami Marlins, 3 years, $2 million a year. Edwin Jackson goes to the Twins, division rival, 5 years, $2 million per. Obviously, we're looking back like 15 years. I feel like the budgets were still not exactly accurate to the real world. I mean, I think that's still true in like MLB The Show and all that. Russell Martin, 3 years, $2.5 million per year. He was a great catcher. David Ortiz goes to the Rangers, 1 year, $3.5 million. So one of the top outfielders there goes to the Cubs. Andy Chavez, 3 years, $3.5 million. He was an A-level comp pick guy, so the Cubs are losing draft picks to sign him. Kuroda to the Royals. Angels signed Torrey Hunter, 1 year, $2.5 million. We have the system signing players for us, which I love, of course. Signing Howie Sweeney to 1 year, $250,000 deal. I mean, hopefully that's just a minor league deal. Jonathan Broxton goes to the Angels. Felipe Lopez. What? I didn't have this kind of money to sign people. What's going on here? Felipe Lopez, 1 year, $1 million. Sean Markham goes to the Twins. Scott Rowland, 1 year, $1.25 million to Philly. Freddie Sanchez to the Twins. Twins are making some moves here. Miguel Montero to the Jays. Lance Berkman to the Brewers. Brewers were the team that the White Sox faced in the World Series there. 1 year, $4 million. Prince Fielder goes to the Cardinals. So the NL Central is looking like there's some power in there. Andrew Jones goes to the Red Sox. Grady Sizemore back to Cleveland on a 2-year, $1.4 million deal. So yeah, it's kind of a bummer for me because I was hoping I could still seek him out, but I don't, I'm trying to keep this somewhat reasonable as far as realism is concerned and not do any interdivision trades. So that totally takes me out of the running for Grady Sizemore. Andre Ethier also goes to Boston. Francisco Cordero to the Yankees, along with Buckles. Scott Linebrink, there's a name I hadn't seen in a while. Isringhausen. Also, man, December 3rd, busy day for the Yankees. Joel Zumaya, Brad Lidge, man alive. Yankees being the Yankees. Micah Owings, I liked him as a pitcher. With 3 year, $1 million apiece. They signed Nick Swisher, 4 years, $3 million each. Roy Oswalt with the Yankees, re-signing with the Yankees. Jason Marquis, man, there's a guy I'm so glad never ended up on the White Sox. Francisco Liriano, 4 years, $3.5 million with the Twins. Tigers, we're doing it kind of by team here. It seems like signing day is December 3rd. So Tigers get Omar Vizquel. They release Eric Chavez. I like Eric Chavez. I wonder, he's probably way at the end of his career at this point, though. Signed Delman Young, Jose Valverde. Royals releasing players. Yeah, you release players before you can that's just broken. I feel like it's more NFL that stuff like that happens. Reds sign Brandon Phillips and Sean Marshall. Red Sox signing a bunch of smaller name guys, a whole bunch, including Bobby Jenks. In real life, Bobby Jenks was with Boston in 2011 and didn't play in the bigs after then. So, hey, he's going to have a longer career here, apparently, which I'm all for that. Daisuke playing for next to nothing. Dan Wheeler goes to the Red Sox. Vlad Guerrero Sr., 1 year, $1.8 million with the Red Sox. And they released David Ortiz. That's how he became a free agent. This is so weird. Mike Napoli, 6 years, $8.15 million per year. Monster contract in this game. That's re-signing. And re-signing Josh Hamilton, 6 year, $11.25 million per year. Big money there. Dontrell Willis heads to Philly. Shane Victorino back with Philly. 5 years, $7.71 million. I love the Flying Hawaiian. I think that's a little too rich for my blood for this game, at least. Cole Hamels, 7 years, $13 million per year. And Carlos Quentin with the Padres. Juan Pierre is still in the game with the Mets. 2 years, $1 million each. I wonder, do I go after Juan Pierre? I will see what his numbers are like, but you know me, speedy outfielders. Oh yeah, so Cleveland ends up releasing Grady Sizemore just to sign him back. So strange. Giants get Raul Ibanez, 1 year deal. Milkman signing with the Giants, 4 years, $2.9 million. I know he was with the Giants in real life. The White Sox got him after he played with the Giants. So doing the real life comps, Melky played with San Francisco in 2012, and then went to Toronto in 13 and 14. And then he made his way to the White Sox in 2015 and 16. He played till 2019. So he's a legit player at this point in his career. Actually, in 2012, he was an all-star. So I wonder if Melky Cabrera, he's not exactly my prototypical corner outfielder, but we'll see what the ratings are. That's a good price, $2.9 million. Yadier Molina locked up 6 years, $9 million per with the Cardinals. Brewers bringing K-Rod back, 4 years, 1.7 mil per. And Greinke, 7 years, 12 million per. So those are some of those big names I'd love to see in the White Sox rotation. And then these were my moves here. I brought back Brandon McCarthy, John Roche, and AJ Pierzynski. I mean, signing AJ to just 1.75 mil seems like nothing, but now like every penny is really worth a lot. So I gave him more than he asked for, and maybe I won't do that next year because there was just no breathing room with the budget. Even having gotten winning the World Series, and that did boost the amount of money overall that I was allowed to use in my budget. Still, that left so little breathing room. So now, for the love of God, can I make any trades? No, I still can't make trades. What the freaking hell? So doing a little bit of digging, I found that Howie Sweeney never existed. So that's a fake player. That's somebody that we'll just throw in to any trade just to disappear that person from our existence. Felipe Lopez. I thought the name sounded familiar. I definitely didn't realize that this was a guy who played 11 years. He made an all-star team in 2005 with the Cincinnati Reds. He played all the way till 2011, so this would be extending his career for sure. His last look was with the Brewers, but he is a middle infielder. We need a middle infield depth. I don't know if we want to spend $1 million on a guy that we don't likely plan to use. Shortstop, second base, third base. Also a switch hitter. So he could be, he's kind of interesting. Not somebody that I planned to have on the team. I'm quite curious how the 360 made room for them. It doesn't look like anybody got cut. And that would really tick me off if we ended up losing a player that I wanted on the team, which, of course, is something that always happened. We all remember this era of baseball games where it was infuriating. Yeah, auto manage. Jesse Crane is the closer. It's supposed to be Edison Reed. Rotation, Danks, Sale, Floyd, Burley. Burley just won the Cy Young Award. Yeah, that's a good number 4 starter. I'll be adjusting that later. Advance to the season. So now I better be able to make a trade at this point. Oh, thank goodness. After all that, I can finally start where I thought this video was going to start. I'm working on the trades off screen, so you can just see what I end up with. But I did have to point this out. Jason Bay with the New York Mets playing in AAA at $26.5 million per year. So as much as I am upset with how my organization is kind of looking, the way the 360 has set it up, at least I don't have a dude making a quarter of my payroll in AAA. Wow. It would be really fun and interesting to go and get David Wright and Matt Harvey, as we know that they end up being really good and really injury prone, and maybe we'd be able to fix them. I must have made a trade with the Mets before because I see we have Brian Omagrosso here and Scott Carroll, 2 former White Sox relievers playing in AAA for him. So I did take a look, and Juan Pierre is actually pretty decent still. His contract, 2 years, 209, which that actually means, as I found out, Juan Pierre only makes $1 million per year for each of the next 2 years. He is past his prime, sure, but still an 89 speed. And as a 4th outfielder, as some outfield depth, I am interested in that. He's 74 overall, 74 contact. He's never a guy with power. But the fact that he still has decent contact and great speed, that's something I'm going to remember. I'm going to come back, figure out, I got to free up a little bit of cash, which should be easy to do. But yeah, just mental note, I'm coming back to get Juan Pierre as my 4th outfielder. Here's a trade I think I have to do. I played around with it a little bit more. I was trying to get a little something extra, but Aramis Ramirez, who again, MVP candidate, like legitimately he should have won, or at the very least he was a top 3 candidate last year, heading over to the Cincinnati Reds for Todd Frazier and Nick Massett. I loved Todd Frazier. I'm a bit of a homer, I'm sure, when it comes to him, but we're trading a 34-year-old for a 27-year-old. We're looking at the overall. Aramis is definitely better, 86 overall to 73 overall, but look at those trends. They're going different directions. Aramis is making $11 million per year. Todd Frazier is just getting started. I think he was a late bloomer, but he's making less than $1 million per year. And throwing in Nick Massett, who's making about $2 million on the year. As you see at the top there, the budget before, I was $2 million in debt, almost, to 3.72 million. liquid. Reds are taking on some contracts here. I wonder if they're going to allow me to do this. I might have to take somebody else from them to balance out the money a little bit. Obviously, as you see, you can go into debt a little bit. Nick Massett, by the way, if you don't remember, former White Sox reliever. And I did look earlier, and I can get Juan Pierre straight up for a reliever. So that's why I'm taking on a reliever I'm a little bit more excited about, to be able to dump a different reliever later to get Juan Pierre. I was really trying to see if I could get Johnny Cueto and throw John Danks in and just do all of my shopping just about in one move here. They were not interested in John Danks, and they did not want to give up Johnny Cueto. It would be fun to pitch with him. He was fun with the White Sox. A really good player, 89 overall too. So, I mean, a legit, really good pitcher here. Look who's down here. Aroldis Chapman. He's expensive. That moves the needle for them too. They don't want to do that so much. Yeah, they don't want to include him. Okay. Sometimes, you're tempted to get just the best. Seeing if I could get Yasmani Grandal now just to get it over with, because part of the goal, like I've got all of these challenges I set up for myself. Part of the goal is to bring the 2020 team into existence and then see what we do with that window. Do we stick with that team and ride it out, or do we cash in, which the real White Sox maybe should have done, but we still have to get to 2020 and then see what we do after that. And Yasmani Grandal, I'm going to have to acquire him eventually, and getting him at this early stage of his career would be interesting, but since he does not want to give him up, let's just see what happens. Make this offer. It's been rejected. Look how high up the interest level is. Okay, I got to sweeten the pot. I'm just going to be able to throw in somebody, maybe that Felipe Lopez dude. Wow. So adding this player that I don't know where he came from, the 360, threw him on my big league squad, adding him, which gets another 200 grand off my books. That makes Cincy very interested. So let's see if they'll go into debt this much for it. Boom. All right. That's two birds, one stone there. So third base is covered, and I have $4 million now to play with. Running it back with John Danks is not a terrible thing. Let's take a quick look at what he did last year. He was 12-7, 3.90 ERA. I mean, honestly, really good middle of the rotation stuff. His trend, he's actually trending up. Maybe I don't move him. I was trying to get rid of budget, but now that I've cleared up some room, maybe that's not as big of a deal. 27-year-old lefty. I mean, he doesn't stand out in almost anywhere. Great stamina. He's got a good pickoff, and he's got composure, as we saw in real life in the blackout game, the highest stakes ever. But do we just kind of rock? We start the season with this rotation. Maybe we do. Maybe we do. Okay, and here's the trade I found earlier. We have Juan Pierre joining the White Sox for Zach Stewart. Just even the overalls are in our favor, 74-73. Zach Stewart is cheaper and controlled longer, but we've got Juan Pierre under contract for 2 years. He's 35 years old at this stage. And we've basically already replaced Zach Stewart with Nick Massett. That's a good one. We've still got about $3.5 million to play with. And yes, absolutely, I went to see what I could do about getting minor league pitcher Jake DeGrom on the White Sox. But, they understandably, they weren't that interested in moving him. And Nick Massett is immediately injured in spring training. It's only a 5-day recovery. Let's just get through the rest of spring, okay? And other new addition, Todd Frazier, elbow tendonitis, 9+ days. Trace Thompson, torn bicep, 15-day DL. This is why we need depth. 15-day DL, but expected recovery, 35+ days. And this is after I hired a new trainer that's supposed to make this recovery faster. So, yeah, well, good God, let's see how the rest of spring goes. Trade offer. Pirates present the White Sox trade offer, Josh Bell for Tyler Saladino. Interesting. Recommendation is accept. I love the Fu Manchu. Josh Bell, what? I guess Josh Bell is only 20 years old at this point. Interesting. He's 75 overall. I really love to bring up Tyler Saladino. Let's head over to the trade screen here. Both players are basically on minimum salaries. Yeah, I'm just going to make the deal. Weird. But yeah, Josh Bell, welcome to our minor leagues. Our record, do we see our record? Yeah, 6-13. We're starting to win some games, but not a lot. Another offer. Padres, Blake Teacoat, former White Sox, actually. Actually, didn't the White Sox trade him to the Padres, maybe the year before, maybe that year. Here's the difference. Playing the game, I would not accept this because apparently the person we're giving up is somebody that's at 2-star level but has potential of 5. I bet we're trading a CPU generated player for an actual player. So I'm going to make this trade just to get real players on our team. Welcome to opening day. As we're getting ready for the start of the season, we have just more bad news. Alejandro De Aza, our starting center fielder from last year, went down with an injury and lost the last month and a half, and then all of the playoffs. His injury is considered chronic, so I cannot bring him back up to the big leagues. Good thing I got Juan Pierre as a backup speedy outfielder, so he's going to be essentially playing that position. Who knows if I'll ever get him back? But that showed again how shallow we are when it comes to depth, because also Trace Thompson is going to be injured for the next 2 weeks. He is a 4th outfielder type that was going to step into the starting lineup, and he's out. So I had to go outside the organization to bring back a familiar face. Yep. Signed for not very much money. I think less than $900,000 for 1 season. Maglio Ordonez, who should not be a starting outfielder right now. That's where we're at. Starting out with some injuries in the outfield. I'm happy with the team overall. But yeah, did not expect to bring Maglio Ordonez back, and certainly not as somebody in the starting lineup. I thought he'd be the last guy off the bench type. But taking a look at the lineup really quickly, we have Juan Pierre in center field, Alex Rios in left, Paul Konerko, Paul Goldschmidt. The 2 Paulies are going to be bouncing around between first base and DH. Todd Frazier taking over in third base. Alexi, of course, Bones playing shortstop. Brent Lilbridge, who played a lot of right field for us last year, is moving into second base. And of course, we've got AJ catching with a backup of Tyler Flowers out there. We've got Marcus Semien, Gordon Beckham, and Yolmer Sanchez on our bench. See, again, our bench is all infielders. Obviously, we could always move Brent Lilbridge to the outfield and then bring in Semien, Beckham, or Yolmer to play the infield. So I love the positional flexibility Brent Lilbridge gives us. But that is our offense. Pitching rotation, wow. They even further bumped Burley, the defending Cy Young winner. They moved him to 5th in the rotation. I guess it's because we have so many lefties, but you would still think that it would be Burley as the top lefty. And let's see what we got here. We've got Burley, the ace of our rotation, regardless if the game thinks so or not. Jake Peavy after him, Danks, Sale, and Floyd. And again, hopefully Sale can really start to take some strides, and then we can move him to the number 3 and then number 2 spot. Our bullpen, pretty much the same as last year. We're running it back largely. Nick Massett as the only new addition, and Zach Stewart was it, I think, who I traded away. But otherwise, we have everybody still back here. Thing that I'm always fighting with the game about is that I want Addison Reed as our closer, and they keep putting Jesse Crane in there. Let's at least put him as a setup man. Oh, I just noticed that they put Jose Quintana in as a setup guy. That's interesting. Let's see what happens here. Quintana, I don't know. He may have gotten a little bit of a look last year. Did he play in the big leagues last year? Yeah, just 3 games, all starts, 1 and 2 with a 6.28 ERA. Again, it would be great to develop him. He's 76 right now, and that is still demonstratively behind the rest of our starting lineup. But man, if we can get Quintana to take some steps forward this year, that could push out somebody like Gavin Floyd, save some money. And we know Q was a great part of our team. So with the starting lineup set, with the pitching rotation set, let's, just like we did last year, we're just going to go one time through the rotation, simulating and see, just take a quick glimpse of how the team does after one time through the rotation. Won the season opener at home also, which is great, but then lost the next 2 to lose the series to Cleveland. And then we won the first game against Minnesota, which was Chris Sale, a victory, and we lost. So after 5 games, the Sox are 2-3. And we're going to take just a really quick look at the player stats as of this moment. Paul Konerko off to a hot start, batting .500 with 10 hits. Todd Frazier, amazing. .525 average. Again, very small sample size, but still, after 5 games, he's got 3 home runs and a .529 batting average. Juan Pierre, starting out strong, already 4 steals. Heck yeah, buddy. AJ batting 300. On the underperforming side, Alexi just a 200 average. Paul Goldschmidt 158. Rios 143. 3 home runs, not just for Todd Frazier, but also Alexi Ramirez. On the pitching front, our team leader in innings pitched is actually Jose Quintana. Burley getting back to where he left off. 6 2/3 innings in that opening day win, an ERA of 0. Sale also has an ERA of 0 after 6 innings pitched. Small sample, but we love to see it. These guys get started right. John Danks 4.77 ERA. Here's the opposite side of that. Gavin Floyd, rough start. 17.18 ERA in 3 2/3 innings. Peavy. Oh, what happened to Jake Peavy? He only went a third of an inning. An ERA of 108. We're going to go back and look at that box score. Wowza. Yeah. Cleveland put up 6 runs in the first inning, and Peavy only recorded a single out. Who's on mop-up duty? Brandon McCarthy. That's smart as well. That's how I would have used him as well. Brandon McCarthy coming in, pick up 4 2/3 innings in relief, giving up just 1 more run. So that is where we're going to leave it. Thanks for coming along for this ride, going back into the time machine and trying to correct the mistakes that the White Sox front office made in the offseason of 2012 to the beginning of 2013. Will Avi Garcia make it onto the team? I don't know. What do you think? Should I bring him on? Do you have any other guys from this era you want me to target? Any thoughts, ideas, opinions? Definitely want to make this a fun experience for all of us. Thanks for watching, and can't wait to watch the real life 2026 White Sox pick up some victories. And I can't wait to kick this cold. Thanks for putting up with my bad voice, and I'll see you soon.